information online, so I'm going with basically the best of what I could find. So let's dive right in. Michael Madden was born on January the 22nd in the year 1976. He grew up with his parents, Larry and Ardell Madden. In the year 1996, Michael was 20 years old and was a student at Humboldt State University. Humboldt State University is located in California, and it's in the northwest portion of California. In August of the year 1996, Michael was living with his parents before the fall semester resumed at school. I believe that Michael's parents lived around the Modesto, California area, but I'm truly not sure about that, so do not hold me to that one. Michael was in love with nature, and he had really wanted to become a forest ranger after he graduated from college. So Michael went camping often, like all of the time he would go camping. So he enjoyed going camping, of course, with his friends, but he also would go alone every so often as well. On August the 10th, in the year 1996, Michael had planned to meet one of his close friends named Josh Roca, along with 3 other friends. They were to meet at the Sandbar Flats campground, which was right on the Stanislaus River, which is close to Sonora, California. This campground is roughly 3 hours southeast of Sacramento, just to kind of give you a little bit of an overview of the area. So on the morning of August the 10th, Michael packed up his camping and his fishing gear, and he left his parents' house. He took his dog Matilda with him, and they left close to 5 a.m. in the morning. Before Michael left, he wrote a note to his parents explaining where he would be for the next couple of days. So Michael went out, did his thing. His friend Josh had shortly, especially since the fire was still going on there. Josh and the rest of the group decided to wait around the fire, as like I said, they assumed that Michael would be back shortly. While the group was waiting on Michael, suddenly a man just kind of came out of the brushy wooded area nearby, and he kind of came out of nowhere. You gotta think, this is still close to 2 a.m. in the morning, and this man just comes out. It was rather alarming. The man was also carrying, I believe, an automatic pistol, and he began to ask the group, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Of course, the group answered, "They're looking for their friend. He's supposed to be here. They're just gonna wait for him." And the unknown man said, "Are you looking for Mikey?" The friends of Michael found this a little odd, as he never went by the name Mikey. The man that had jumped out of the woods was named Joseph Tyne, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. And he didn't really communicate with the rest of the group. The group decided to still stay seated around the fire, and Joseph just kind of joined them, but did not really talk. As the time went by, the group grew more and more concerned as Michael and Matilda never came back. The group was also extremely on edge around Joseph, as he continuously cocked his pistol the whole time they were sitting there waiting for Michael to show up. The whole time that Joseph was sitting there, of course, the friends were trying to keep an eye on him, and a few of them noted that the boots that Joseph was wearing were either the same ones that Michael wore or extremely close. They looked very, very similar. Now, that's not to say, that Joseph just happened to have the same brand and pair of, hiking boots, but the group did find that just a little odd. Michael's friends waited for him for 6 full hours before they decided to leave and alert the authorities to his disappearance. That whole time, that whole 6 hours, like I said, Joseph just kind of sat there with them. Around 8 a.m. on the morning of August the 12th, Michael's friends reported him as missing to the authorities. The authorities came out and did an initial search, but were unable to find Michael or even Michael's dog, Matilda. During that initial search, they had divers and even, scent tracking dogs, but still nothing came up at all. The police began to question other campers and people who had visited the area, and several people claimed that they had spotted Michael with an unknown man. Michael and this unknown man were seen fishing together to see if Matilda could possibly lead them back to where Michael was located. However, Matilda was not trained on how to do this. She was just, a regular family dog, and she really wasn't able to provide any information to the police. Thank goodness, though, that Matilda did come back to that campsite. The police apparently questioned Joseph, the man who had kind of popped out of the woods with the gun, and they asked if he had anything to do with Michael's disappearance, but Joseph claimed he had no idea what happened to Michael. I'm honestly not even sure what he told the police, but he had to have given some reason, as it seemed he knew who Mikey was, and all of Michael's gear had been there. The police ended up giving Joseph a polygraph test about the disappearance of Michael, but this was 9 months after Michael had initially disappeared. 9 months. I am not sure why it took them that long, but that seems like a very, very long time. The results of Joseph's polygraph test were never released to the public, and Joseph was never charged with any crimes. That makes me think that he most likely passed the test, but then there's another portion of me that thinks maybe he failed and the police were just looking for some physical evidence. I'm not sure. The police have never arrested anyone for the disappearance of Michael, and to this day the case sadly remains unsolved. The police have several theories. At this point, they do believe that Michael met some form of foul play while out camping. They also think that Joseph